Hello, everyone. We will get started in just a little bit. Not a lot of weather to talk about tonight. Getting it all shared out on social. We're gonna have quite a day of weather tomorrow across Kentucky. So let me know where you're watching from. Let me know any questions you have. We'll get started in just a minute or two. Give everybody a chance to log on. I know it's late, so I'm not expecting a huge turnout tonight. This is certainly going to be a busy day, I think, tomorrow in Kentucky weather. So let me know where you're watching from. Let me know any questions you have. We're going to get started in just a minute talking about the flood threat and the severe weather threat and the threat of a little bit of winter weather on the back side of this system. So stay tuned. We're going to get started probably at 10:35. So. Hope you are doing well. Hope you've had a happy Valentine's Day. I have. This is going to be a tricky forecast, and this is going to be one of the bigger impact events we've had in a while, I really think. I'm going to get one last graphic loaded up before we start. Alright. Well, welcome in. Meteorologist Shane Smith here with you. It is Friday, Valentine's Day. Yes, my wife is watching from my house. Friday, Valentine's Day 2025. I hope you all have had a great day. I know I've had a good one. But gotta talk a little weather tonight because the weather's turning a little serious tomorrow. And I try to make my tone match what the weather's doing. Serious side tonight, so I'm going to take a little bit of a turn to the serious side. Travis Crickmore watching on YouTube. Thank you for joining us, Travis. We're looking at severe flooding tomorrow until Sunday for us here in Racine, West Virginia, Boone County. Yes, there is the potential of significant flooding for our neighbors over in the Mountain State. I'll touch on that a little bit. I am focusing more on Kentucky. But Travis, since you're here, I will toss a little information about good old West Virginia out there. But yes, in short, anywhere in the dark green right now on this map has the potential of significant flooding this weekend. We have got widespread flood watches extending all the way from Arkansas into southwestern Pennsylvania, including the entirety of the Bluegrass state. This is one of the rare times in my life I have seen every county in Kentucky under a flood watch, and most of West Virginia is under a flood watch as well. Hey, Marjorie, thanks for joining us tonight. No, it's a little late, but thanks for popping on here. Guys, like this, share this on whatever platform you're watching. We got some important stuff to talk about, so let's get right to it. What we are going to see this weekend is a prolific heavy rain event across the Ohio Valley and a significant severe weather event across the Deep South. Now, I'm going to be focusing more on the flooding aspect because that's what I'm more concerned with here in the Bluegrass and in southern Appalachia. But there is a significant severe weather component to this further south. So if you're watching this from maybe Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, just know I'm going to be focusing more on Kentucky on this and the flooding. And that's because we have a very rare high risk of excessive rainfall. These are incredibly rare. That's the area highlighted in pink in western Kentucky, from E-Town down to Mayfield and Paducah, extending into northwest Tennessee. I will zoom in on this area on the map a little bit just to show you it a little better. But most of the state under a moderate risk, that's the red, that's a 3 out of 4 on the flash flooding scale, or the excessive rainfall scale, excuse me. But this area from E-Town down through Litchfield, Caneyville, Beaver Dam, Bowling Green, Smiths Grove, Russellville, Hopkinsville, Murray, Mayfield, Paducah, all the way down to Union City and into Dyersburg, Tennessee. This is the real deal, folks. You do not see these high risks for excessive rainfall often. And when you do, you are looking typically at a significant flooding event. And we're talking all forms of flooding. River and creek flooding, flash flooding, and big river flooding. Like the Ohio is probably going to come up from this. The Kentucky, the Cumberland. Several major rivers are going to come up from this event. And we could be seeing rainfall totals over the course of this weekend in this area 4 to 6 inches. Some areas may even go higher than that with the line of thunderstorms that's going to come through tomorrow night. So there is a lot going on. Let's kind of take a look at what's out there right now. Here's the big picture on Radar Omega. And you are going to see we've got a bit of precipitation off to the north, a little wintry system passing through the upper Ohio Valley. That's not the one that's going to impact us with the heavy rainfall. That system is currently organizing down around Little Rock, Arkansas. And I'm going to put the surface map on here to show you a little bit of what's happening. This one's a little out of date, but that low pressure is forming back across Arkansas, and we're going to have a stationary front and a warm front eventually lifting north into Kentucky. As that front lifts into the Bluegrass, that is when we are going to see heavy, heavy rain move in. Clarissa Mullins asks, will this be life-threatening in southeastern Kentucky around Hazard? So here's what I'm going to say about that, Clarissa. The worst, or let me rephrase this, the highest chance of significant flooding is going to be in this area back here in the pink in western Kentucky. And let me adjust that view again just so everybody can see that. So that's an area from E-Town down to Bowling Green, down to Mayfield and Murray, and Dyersburg, Tennessee. That is where the heaviest of the rain will fall. That is where the highest threat of flooding is. But you'll notice Hazard is right on that borderline from a moderate to enhanced risk of excessive rainfall. I still think eastern Kentucky has a potential of seeing some flooding. Now, are we talking the flooding we saw in the summer of 22? Probably not. Rainfall totals not quite that high. That was rainfall. Some of those storms produced 10, 11 inches of rain in the course of a day. We're looking at about half of that, 4 to 6 in that worst area. For eastern Kentucky, probably more of a 1 to 3 inch rain, maybe a few spots in the Cumberland Valley picking up 4 or 5 inches. So it's not going to be as heavy of a rain. It's not going to be falling as fast. And there's not going to be as much of it, but I don't want us to let our guards down. Just because it may not be as bad as the last big flood doesn't mean there won't be spots that get bad. And I do suspect that a lot of spots across the Bluegrass are going to get bad tomorrow and Sunday as that heavy rain falls. So good question there. I hope that answered it. If you got any more, please let me know. And once again, if you're just joining us, I'm meteorologist Shane Smith. We're talking about the potential of flooding tomorrow across Kentucky. Heavy rain is heading our way. If you have questions, post them in the chat, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. Be sure to like this live stream, share it out, so we can get this out to as many people as we can. So that storm system's organizing right now down off to the south and the west. Let's take a look real quick at how this all plays out. I'm going to pull up the HRRR model. That is the high resolution rapid refresh. This model is probably the best short range model we have in our toolkit right now. So here's how it all breaks down. This is 2 a.m. Central Time, 3 a.m. East Coast time. Rain starts breaking out across far western Kentucky. Some of it will be heavy at times. Anytime you see the yellows or the oranges over your area, that indicates heavy rain moving through. We put the map forward a little bit. We're going to go a couple more hours into the future. By 5 a.m., that rain is now pushing along the I-75 corridor, and that's 5 a.m. Central Time, 6 a.m. out on Eastern Time. So you'll see pockets of heavier rain down along the Tennessee border, out near Bowling Green, out near Paducah, out near Mainfield. A few isolated pockets of heavier rain possible between Lexington and Covington, Crittenden, Dry Ridge, Florence. Y'all, you could see some moderate rain tomorrow morning. We go a little bit further into the future, getting into the later morning hours. Steady to moderate rain continuing south of Interstate 64, the heaviest of it out in western Kentucky. But at this point, along the Highway 80 corridor, the Hal Rogers Parkway corridor, the Cumberland Parkway corridor, the Western Kentucky Parkway corridor, the rain is really starting to pick up late morning and early afternoon. And it's just going to keep going round after round after round after round. There will be some breaks in the action, but I don't think we'll see it completely let up in southern Kentucky tomorrow. It's just going to pour for a while. It may let up just a little bit and then start pouring again. So this is a prolonged rain event going on throughout the day on your Saturday. Let's take you into the afternoon and evening. Now we're pushing into around 3, 4 o'clock. You'll notice that band of heavier showers pushing up towards the I-64 corridor. So places like Moorhead, Ashland, Lexington, Frankfort, Louisville. You're now starting to see the heavier rain around 6 o'clock. We start to see a break in southern Kentucky, which is a good thing. But the bad news from that is that means that area of low pressure is getting closer. The winds are going to start to crank. That cold front is approaching, and that is going to set the stage for a low-end severe weather threat tomorrow night. You'll notice we get a squall line developing pretty much from around Maysville back towards Lexington, E-Town, Bowling Green by about 9 o'clock tomorrow night. And then that line will push eastward into eastern and central Kentucky just around midnight. It'll be around the I-74 or the I-75 corridor around 1 in the morning. It'll push into eastern Kentucky 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning out in the Big Sandy Valley. And then behind it, that cold air crashes in. And Sunday morning, we will see temperatures drop throughout the morning. In fact, we'll start out that morning likely in the 40s, and we will go below freezing by lunchtime, and we could change that rain over to snow. And then that leads to another problem is those temperatures continue to drop and those snow showers kick up. Like, this is 7 p.m. We've got widespread snow falling across mainly eastern and central Kentucky thanks to a stiff northwest wind. And look at what these temperatures are going to do. We're going to see those thermometers drop well below freezing. We're going to have inches of water on the road. The road crews are not going to have time to get the roads dry just because they're going to be inundated with so much water, so much runoff, and you can't pre-treat salt if it's going to rain because the rain's going to wash it all off. And we're going to see temperatures go into the 20s at Sunday night into Monday morning, and eventually could drop down pretty significantly. Let me switch models real quick and just show you how low we could go Sunday night into Monday morning. We're talking those thermometers going to drop like a rock. There's the cold front, Sunday morning, moving across. Oh, the internet is struggling. The struggle is real. Hang on 1 second, friends. Buffering. There we go. Heading into the mid to upper 20s Sunday morning. That is pretty daggone cold stuff. In fact, here we go. There it is. Monday morning, we wake up low 20s across most of Kentucky, maybe mid-20s southern Kentucky. That is enough to cause a flash freeze. You're going to see road conditions deteriorate Sunday, especially after lunchtime into Monday morning, between the snow and the freeze up. So this is a pretty complicated forecast, multifaceted, multiple problems. The biggest of which is the flooding. Here's a look at just some of what the different computer models are showing for the potential of heavy rain. European model, the yellows 5 to 6 inches. Eastern Kentucky 1 to 3, a little bit more. Central Western Kentucky. GFS is closer to the Ohio River. The HRRR is lined up very well with the Euro. Same with the Icon, the NAM. So everybody is kind of targeting now that corridor from Lexington to Bowling Green through E-Town and Western Kentucky for the heaviest of the rain tomorrow and into Sunday. That will be enough to cause flooding. But even in eastern Kentucky, 1 to 3 inches on top of an already saturated ground can cause flooding. So I want everyone to be very aware of the flood risk. The severe weather outlook, it's on the low end, but it's still a marginal risk. The dark green, that's a 1 out of 5 on the severe weather scale. That would be mainly Saturday night into early Sunday morning. It'll start in Western Kentucky Saturday night. It'll be in Eastern Kentucky early Sunday morning. Gusty winds, heavy rain, the main threats with that. We could see gusts 50, 60 miles per hour. And just with the heavy rain on top of that, flash flooding obviously becomes another concern. Then as the temperatures drop, we get the snow in here, especially during the second half of Sunday. The low 20s Monday morning, we freeze things up, and all of a sudden you've got an icy mess on our hands. Okay, school on Monday. Abby, I'm going to go ahead and say I'm calling a 75% chance of some kind of weather day for at least our county and for a lot of counties on Monday, just because of the ice up and the flood potential. Life-threatening flooding. It is. I hate to say that because I don't want to over-hype it and then anything not happen. I will say the potential is there for significant flooding. Now, Western Kentucky is going to be in the bullseye for that. Let me pull that map back up. But you'll still notice London and Corbin is still in a moderate risk of excessive rainfall. That red and the pink the biggest impacts from the flooding. But even far southeastern Kentucky, even though they're only in that enhanced risk, I don't want everybody to let their guard down, because we flood easier in the mountains anyway, just because of the topography out there, because of how the mountains just funnel all the water down into the hollers. If we get 3 inches of rain, Hazard, Whitesburg, Harlan, we're going to have issues. But better 3 inches of rain than 6 inches of rain. And let's hope the modeling is right. Everything today has kind of shifted farther northwest. That's good for us in eastern Kentucky. That's bad for western Kentucky. Nobody wants to see 6 inches of rain on top of a saturated ground right now. That will cause problems. It's a good question there. Definitely a case where you want to have at least 2 ways to get weather warnings tomorrow. I suggest a good weather app, like one of the local TV stations' weather apps. I'll go ahead and plug KYT and YMT since I freelance for them occasionally. Also would recommend a weather radio and watch your local media sources for warnings, especially during the overnight hours, Saturday night into Sunday. That is the time period I am most concerned with, Saturday night into Sunday morning, because more people are asleep, they're not paying attention to the weather, they may not have a wave that wakes them up, floodwaters come up, you're in trouble. So it's going to be one of those nights you're going to have to be extra vigilant with the weather tomorrow night into Sunday morning. A lot of folks going to be asking about church services on Sunday. If the creek ain't up, you may have problems with snow for folks trying to get home. I'll leave that up to each church leadership to decide what they want to do. But things are looking iffy. And then especially Sunday evening services. I will just go ahead and say Sunday evening services would not be recommended for a lot of church leaders, especially in central and eastern Kentucky with the snow falling, temperatures dropping, all that water out there. I don't think it's a great idea for Sunday evening services, but that is just my opinion, and I'll just leave it at that. Any more questions? We are quickly coming up on 11 o'clock. I don't want to waste everybody's time. But it's going to be a very, very intense weekend of weather across Kentucky. Let me switch that real quick. Don't know why it zoomed all the way out. I'm going to switch this over to the NAM model just to kind of show you how everything plays out tomorrow, like big picture. I'll go ahead and let that load up. Any more questions? Once again, if you're just joining us, heavy rain heading our way for Saturday. Significant flood threat, obviously. Remember the old saying, turn around, don't drown. Be sure to have a plan to deal with flooding. Not a bad idea to go ahead and have your a go bag ready with some food, some clothes, your important documents, insurance policies, that sort of thing, in case you have to evacuate to higher ground if you live in a flood-prone area. You see there on the future radar, we're just going to be inundated in rain tomorrow across most of the state, especially the southern and the western end of the state. And then we get that severe weather threat Saturday night into early Sunday. So, Clarissa, just to clarify that, the severe weather chance is going to be Saturday night into Sunday morning. Tonight should just be regular rain. I'm not expecting anything severe tonight. If we see severe weather, it's going to be Saturday night into Sunday morning as that squall line comes through. Clark, there is the potential of some of those bands of heavier rain coming a little bit further southeast. I will say most of the data has been trending more up to the northwest today, and usually I like to pay more attention to the trends. So unless they take another dip back to the southeast, I'm going to expect that northwest trend is either going to continue or it's going to cut off and hold steady. We're pretty close now, and with all the models in pretty good agreement, I will. I will say that the I think the heaviest of the rain is definitely going to hit like a corridor from Bowling Green up to Lexington. Oh, Madison asking about the winds. Tomorrow, uh, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts with the squall line as it moves through tomorrow night, and that'll be like here in London and Corbin. That'll be early Sunday morning, probably right around midnight or just afterwards. Guys, please share this out even after the live stream ends, just to give people a heads up what to expect. And then you'll notice, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit, let y'all see this future radar off the NAM model. The NAM is going pretty aggressive on the snow Sunday. That's a little bit of new data I hadn't really got to look at too closely yet, because that model literally just came in before I went live. I'm going to take a quick gander at what it's showing for snow through this. Yeah, some spotty half-inch to an inch. Like, it's not going to be a ton. The mountains down in far eastern Kentucky. There we go. Eventually I'll hit the right scene. So yeah, there's the potential of some light snow Sunday night. And with that ice, or with that water, I'm very, very concerned about the ice up and road conditions Sunday into Monday morning. Paintsville River is supposed to be 38 feet high Sunday night, so flooding in Paintsville. Yeah, keep an eye on those river forecasts. Let me pull that up real quick. But yeah, several of the local rivers are predicted to crest pretty high. Let me see if I can find where you get the map with. Okay, hang on one second, folks. Doing some adjusting on the fly. It is being really slow to load. So if you go to weather.gov/OHRFC, you can see the forecast for various rivers. And it looks like the Tug Fork is projected to go in a minor flood stage. The Leviza Fork at Paintsville, a moderate flood. Probably going to get a major flood of the Kentucky near Ravenna. Minor to moderate flooding along the Cumberland. So you can check those gauges there. Clark asks, new snowstorm looking like next week. Well, we can go ahead and take a quick gander at that as well. As we start to wrap things up here. I don't want to show totals from that just yet, but we can certainly take a look at how the storm may evolve. I don't like throwing totals out that far in advance, but we can at least look at how the storm is shaping up. Here's our Here's our Saturday heavy rain event. The Saturday night, Sunday morning severe weather on the European model. A little bit of snow on the backside. Dry, maybe a few lingering snow showers Monday and Tuesday on a stiff northwest wind. It's going to be flat cold. And with that cold air already in place, some light to moderate snow Wednesday, maybe into Thursday. That's one model's take on it. The European model, which is kind of my go-to at this range. I don't want to throw any totals out there just yet, Clark, but I will say there's been a pretty consistent signal for several days now of some kind of winter weather around here Wednesday or Thursday. So I don't see any reason to deviate from that just yet. We'll talk totals for it after we get past this weekend's event. Maybe start looking at that on Monday or Tuesday. Probably Monday since it's going to hit on Wednesday. Happy to provide the update. Any other questions before we wrap this up? We've been going for about a half hour now. Happy to provide this once again. If you haven't liked the page yet, hit that follow button or that like button. Meteorologist Shane Smith on Facebook, S Smith Weather on YouTube, X, and Instagram. Clark, I'll go ahead and tell you this, and I'm going to rant for just a second. I'm not going to say any names, but I will say a meteorologist in the region, was not in Kentucky directly, but in the region showed a model that was showing 15 inches of snow across central and northern Kentucky from that storm. None of the models are showing that now. That's why we don't do it. If you do that, it's just clickbait. If I had $1 for every time the models showed a double-digit snow in Kentucky a week out and we didn't get it, I wouldn't have to be working right now. They're just that far out. I don't even look at totals as far as putting any stock in them. I look at, are we consistently seeing the signal? Is the pattern looking conducive of it? Do we have cold air already in place? Do we have moisture coming in? Is the low pressure strong enough that we get good lift but not too strong to drag in too much warm air advection? I look for the ingredients. I don't just say, ooh, European model said 12 inches. Ooh, the Japanese model spit out 16 inches. The models are going to do what they're going to do, but they're going to be wrong most of the time that far out. Anybody that posts that, whether they're a weather enthusiast, they're a trained analyst, or they're a degreed meteorologist, if they're posting models with totals a week out, they're just doing clickbait. That's how I feel about it. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. Please stay weather aware for your Saturday, especially if you're watching this Saturday morning. Saturday night into Sunday morning is my time frame of highest concern for the flooding, for the severe weather. The zone I am most concerned with is from E-Town down to Bowling Green, back to the west. That's where the highest risk of flooding is, but we've still got a moderate risk for the entire area in red. That includes Louisville, Dry Ridge, Maysville, Moorhead, West Liberty, down to Manchester, over to Goffin County, Salyersville, Paintsville, London, Somerset, far southeast Kentucky. It's a enhanced risk, but I don't want you to let your guard down just because we know it doesn't take much rain in this kind of environment in the mountains to cause some high water issues. All right, folks. Well, that's it. I'll probably try to post some updates tomorrow as things break out. Don't know if